Thank you, Chair. You know, I didn't come here to rain on the parade of Prop 47, but I do think that there's some reasonable considerations that I'd like to run past you here real quickly. You may be aware that the Public Policy Institute of California last month examined FBI data on California's crime rates, as we mentioned briefly earlier in one of the testimonies. Of the 66 California cities in the data, 49 saw increases in violent crime and 48 experienced increases in property crimes. Many of these cities saw double-digit percent increases, 34 in violent crime and 24 of those cities in property crime. And so my question is, during the campaign for Prop 47, it was clearly, as mentioned earlier, estimated that the state would save about $100 million per year. And knowing that we're only 1 year into Prop 47 implementation, do you think that the estimation to save only $30 million had anything to do with the cost of rise in violent or property crimes? Was that taken into consideration at all in these estimates?
The calculation really is just looking at avoided emissions at this time and those who are resentenced. So there isn't any data as far as on a recidivism front to kind of make any determinations on whether there's more admissions due to Prop 47. So therefore, the calculation does not include any.
Okay, so I guess my final question would be, is there any indication, evidence, or belief that the rise in crime is not related to Prop 47? Is that assumption being made?
Again, we're not aware of any data at this time that's making a correlation or attributing the rise in crime to Prop 47. I think as was laid out earlier, there's lots of effects related to crime, and pinpointing what exactly is driving that is difficult to determine. And also maybe being at a long-term low and then maybe having some sort of bounce up from there may have been reasonable to assume. But again, as far as we understand, there's no data pinpointing that as the issue.
Okay, so as I understand it clearly, then there is no belief that there's any relevance to Prop 47 and the rise in crime and doing these calculations.
We didn't incorporate any assumptions about crime impacts into our assessment, and I think I would just note that crime does fluctuate from time to time. I think in our view, the verdict of the impact of Prop 47 on crime is still out at this point. It's probably too soon to tell. And I think a careful analysis is really required to look not only at crime in California, but also sort of the broader national trends of what's happening. I understand that crime has been rising in some other large cities outside of California, and so I think in order to really understand what the impact is, it would take a careful analysis to kind of look at what the broader trends are and how they might depart in California to really identify what the impact of Prop 47 has been, if any.
My only frustration would be that we assume that all the good things that are happening in our prison systems are the direct result of Prop 47, but the potential negative things seem to be ignored, and I don't know if that's a balanced perspective. That's all I share.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lackey. And if I were to add, as we start to look at savings, and we get more and more savings, hopefully, we probably should look at that so that if any of these Prop 47 savings can go to communities that have had experience an increase in crime, that we look at trying to maybe redirect some resources to help blunt that, especially if it's a direct correlation. And so I agree with you. We should not ignore it. We should look at it because that's also part of the calculation. Do we have to expend any more resources because of Prop 47? And I think that's what the courts were saying. Whether it comes from the general fund or from Prop 47, if there's been a rise in court cases, the state needs to help mitigate that with any funding. And I think these gentlemen are looking, and ladies are looking at the same thing, Department of Finance and LAO. I think they will definitely make sure that's incorporated so that we blunt any additional crime that's going on as a result of it. Ms. Campos?
I just want to reiterate the comments that you made before you went to Assemblymember Lackey, that the fact that we need to make sure that there is equitable funds as we move forward. And as I sit here and read a letter from County of Santa Clara, from District Attorney Jeff Rosen, it basically outlines that, the voters were promised a certain amount of money that we would have that would go back to the counties so that they could actually be able to address this and really make sure that we had sufficient amount of funds for the programs to move forward. I would imagine that this letter that I'm receiving from my county probably resonates across the state of California with other counties. So I think that we know that when the voters went to the ballot and cast their vote for Prop 47 funds, they were believing that the counties would get a certain amount of funds. So just want to kind of reiterate what the chair has said, and we need to address these issues and make sure that our counties continue to get the support that they need so that our communities continue to be thriving and that they're whole and safe, and that we are not having individuals that are reoffending on these minor areas.
Okay. And we probably could spend the rest of my time talking about this, so I'm going to make a suggestion to the committee that obviously we hold this over. And then I will make a suggestion to both the LAO. Well, let me just ask this one question. I'm pretty sure the answer will be no. So are there any areas where you absolutely agree on?
Actually, yes. I think we would agree with their assessment of the savings to the Department of State Hospitals.
Okay.
We agree with
How much money is that?
$8.7 million.
We're a little short. Okay.
Yeah, a little bit. We would also agree with their estimate of the number of inmates who are no longer coming to state prison, which is really kind of a key question in all of this. We agree with their estimate of 4,700 is a very reasonable estimate, and it's in line with what we've estimated in the past.
So it really comes down to costs.
It comes down to how much savings you tie to those 4,700.
In agreement on that.
Yes.
And so I will have my staff work with both, or the committee staff will work both, so that we can come back and hopefully get some not only agreement, get more agreement. At some point, the legislature, I think, will look at not only making a determination or coming back and making a recommendation. This body makes recommendations to the budget, so we may make a recommendation about where we think the numbers are. But I want to make sure that, in all fairness to the Department of Finance, because we're the legislature, we always like the higher number, but that we give you an opportunity to fully vet where you got, and we showed that we have value in the input that you give us, even though we like that other number a lot better, that we come to a reasonable, hopefully, solution to this problem. And I think it's really important that we get there, because if we don't have something that's transparent, and this is what I'm really afraid of, more so than whether or not we come up with the number, that to the public and to the voter and to the residents of the state, that they lose faith in us being able to live up to our commitments. There were some big claims made early on in the proposition, and one side of us is not even close to it, and so it's really, really, really important that whatever we move forward with, that the residents of California really, truly believe that we did everything we could to get to that higher number. I'm just going to be real honest with you, and I think the legislature, even if we have to come up with our own calculations, that we think makes the most sense, or more important, what the spirit of Prop 47, what they really wanted. Hopefully, we will make that determination on our side, or make that recommendation to the budget, and ultimately, I think both the Assembly and the Senate will come up with a number. But again, I want to make sure that we're all at least talking we're all working together so we can come to that, and we'll determine when you come back later. So I want to thank each of you for being here today.
Mind if I just make one
Sure.
point? I'm sorry, I know you want to close out for today, but the $29 million estimate is our 15-16 estimate. In 17-18, it grows to roughly $58 million. The court costs are temporary because that resentencing workload is just short-term in nature. So it does grow. It's not quite the $100 million or so that has been estimated, but we would note that this is Finance's first official estimate of the Prop 47 savings. And while early in the initiative process, when it was first filed, we had co-signed a letter with the LAO indicating what savings might be, and it was in that higher range.
Yeah.
It wasn't until after that that the three-judge panel issued its population reduction measures and ordered us to reduce our population through a number of things, primarily related to credits and the parole opportunities. So we didn't anticipate that at the time that the very initial estimate was made, but this is our first official estimate from the Department of Finance.
And to that, I know you did that, but I'm afraid if I were to ask the LAO to give me their projections, it might be closer to 200 than the 59, and then we're back in the same position we're in again. And so I appreciate what the Department of Finance said, but we do have to come together in some way, shape, or form. Right? Did you want? Okay. Thank you. And we'll bring up the next panel. Issue number 2, strengthening law enforcement and community relations grant. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Public comment. I am so sorry. Public comment. I guess there were a couple of people who had to comment. So we're going to keep it down to, oh God, that's a lot. We have, and I'm sorry this went so long, but we have a lot of issues. So can you just?
A couple of minutes.
Not a couple.
1 minute.
I'm about to 30 seconds if people can get in line. So we'll try 1 minute and see how far we go. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chair, members, my name is Tom Renfrey. I'm with the County Behavioral Health Directors Association. Given the county's role as the provider of behavioral health services, the grants provided under Prop 47 are needed to expand local treatment services to criminal justice-involved populations. As we know, many of these folks are reentering the communities. They have need of mental health, substance use disorder treatment. Data from previous diversions, interventions like Prop 36 indicate that the reentry population can be effectively served in the community while maintaining public safety. So we think that rather than spending the large amounts that we have been spending to keep these individuals in prison, it's much more cost-effective to provide behavioral health treatment and community-based programs. And with appropriate services, since many of these folks, as we've heard, will become newly eligible for Medi-Cal, the Prop 47 savings as identified by the LAO can be used to leverage a lot more federal funding to, again, then increase treatment services for this population. So we just encourage you to keep these factors in mind for counties. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Tom Hoffman. I'm a retired police officer. Actually, I was 20 years as City of Inglewood PD officer to captain, 10 years West Sacramento deputy chief of police, retired, and then a life-changing event. In 2006, I was asked to become the director of the California Department or Division of Adult Parole. Changed my life. If you want to see the PD side of public safety, or the input side, parole being the outbound side, having the exposure to the outbound side of our criminal justice system changed my life and changed the way I feel about the entire system. I couldn't encourage you more to go thoughtfully through this process about the money. Obviously, money drives the program availability in some regards in our communities, assuming they can get past planning commissions and so forth. But without the funding, the promises we made in 47 that are achievable and do work simply won't happen.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, members, Julian DeVoris here on behalf of the urban counties of California. We did send a letter, although it was a little late. I apologize for that. We're extremely interested in the money in Prop 47 related to the BSCC grant program for mental health and substance use disorder. The resources will directly help counties, as Senator Campos mentioned, that we really need to help the individuals who are now in our communities. And we feel that that's the highest need for our communities is in behavioral health. So we were asking you to sincerely consider a supplemental appropriation to address this need, and we support the reevaluation of the state savings estimate to ensure that this need is addressed. If you factor in the homeless issues and other issues that we're being asked to address at our local level, we really need these types of programs and facilities to address those communities. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Emily Harris, and I'm the State Field Director with the Ella Baker Center for Human Rights. And we're based in Oakland, and we were supportive of Prop 47, and we're working on ending mass incarceration and moving the money where it is needed most. And I'm actually here, I'm wearing a No New Jails t-shirt because the item 2 down from now is about $250 million for new jails, which is on top of $2.2 billion that have already been have been passed by this committee to build new jails. I think it's absurd that we would be here fighting for the formula just to calculate it right, let alone to demand all the other millions and millions of dollars that are going to go through this committee to increase prison spending. So I really, really hope communities that are most impacted by mass incarceration fought really, really hard for the passage of Prop 47 and for these savings. And California voters said, we need services, we need programs, we need treatment, stop jailing us. And if this committee, please, we're pleading with you that you will do something and make a stand around this. Thank you.
Mr. Chair and members, Steve Meinrath on behalf of the ACLU of California. We agree very strongly with LAO that the estimates of the savings are underestimated, and specifically zeroing in on one of the underlying assumptions that finance has made, that the cost of processing a felony case and the cost of processing a misdemeanor case are the same. Having practiced criminal law for many years, I can just say that on its face that assumption is erroneous. And we strongly support their suggestion that you ask the judiciary for more data on the relative costs of processing those cases, and we think you'll find that there's been substantially more savings than finance has estimated. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, and we will.
Good afternoon, Maureen Washburn from the Center on Juvenile and Criminal Justice, and we're an organization based in San Francisco that provides 14 direct service programs, and we've seen firsthand the effectiveness and value of community-based services. And so I'm here today to request a revision to the estimate to ensure that the SEC has the resources it needs to support these effective community-based services. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Mike Russo. I'm with the Advancement Project, which is a civil rights organization that works statewide to end racial disparities and opportunity for Californians. We've also looked at the LAO analysis. We agree that it better accedes with what is actually happening on the ground. It's definitely more transparent and will lead to more financial responsibility and accountability, and certainly better lines up with the will of the voters. As we've heard, the stakes for our localities are really high. It's important to get this right. It's also important to get the formula right, not just the 1 year total, although obviously $100 million is a lot of money. We need to make sure we get this right for this year and for all future years, too. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon, Brandon Sturdivant. In my role today, I'm the lead organizer for our Live Free work for Pico, California. Coming before you, representing in Alameda County, we got about 9,000 folks out to vote for Prop 47. Statewide with coalition partners, there was hundreds of thousands of folks. And we did so with the hope that you deliver on your promise of making sure our community got resourced with the passage of Prop 47. So we want to see the higher number. We want to make sure folks come together, but we also need to see our communities resourced to serve folks who have mental health and substance abuse issues. Second thing is it's important about the funding, but the process is flawed right now. People aren't being reclassified. If you look at the numbers, I think Stanford came out with some data a few weeks ago, and it was about 200,000 folks who reclassified, and we're almost halfway through of the million, right, who are supposed to. So we want to see you look at incentivizing folks locally, working with local courts, DAs, public defenders, and making sure we get folks reclassified. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Rosa Akil with the Alliance for Boys and Men of Color, just urging this body to take action that would result in reevaluation of the savings for Prop 47 and adopt the framework that the LAO has set out. We really think that to do otherwise would really betray the will of the voters. We appreciate this body kind of airing this issue out, and we definitely look forward to continued dialogue.
Thank you.
John Bowders from Californians for Safety and Justice, the co-authors of Prop 47 and the proponents of the ballot measure. We appreciate the time that both Finance and the LAO have taken in evaluating this formula. We know that this committee and the members of it will do an excellent job in reviewing it further. And the only point we would like to iterate at this point is that the Prop 47 vision was not simply resentencing and reclassifying people. The back end of that vision was to reinvest in communities, services, and solutions that we know deliver healthy outcomes for all Californians. We'd ask you to make an appropriate appropriation at that time.
Hi, my name is Mar Velez. I'm with Communities United for Restorative Youth Justice in Oakland. I'm the policy and campaign manager there. And I work with staff that is passionate about helping young people who have been impacted by the criminal justice system, exactly because they themselves have been impacted by the system. Day in and day out, we come into work to provide opportunities for young people and young adults to fulfill their potential, despite the hardships that they face. And let me tell you that the creation of more prisons or not allocating the original amount of funds is only sending one message to these young people and these young adults, and that's that we want to see them back there in those same prisons. And I'm sure that is not the message that you want to send. So I urge you to revisit the calculations for the savings, send a different message for hope and possibilities for these young people and these young adults. And most importantly, keep your promise that of the savings to be redirected to justice reinvestment. Thank you.
So I apologize, but I only have time now for you to state your name and where you're from. For the line keeps, it's growing. And we'll be here till tomorrow if everybody had another minute. So all I have time for is your name and what organization you're from.
Pete Wywoody, California Partnership. If I may, most of the folks who just joined the line are with.
Can you speak for all of them?
So
Okay.
folks. All
right.
Yeah. So individuals who came in about what we're here to say is that the voters passed Prop 47 and sent a clear message, just like they passed Prop 30 and hopefully will again pass revenues, that they want investment in services, not and want services in the hands of the community and not in the hands of law enforcement. And so a lot of these folks who have to leave now are here to talk about the important program of SSI, and wanted to come up here to share their message that in addition to investing in Prop 47 and getting those services into the community, taking the $250 million out of the jail expansion budget and putting it into programs like SSI that folks have been fighting for today, and CalWorks and other programs that are social uplift instead of building unnecessary jails. So if you came into the room with me to share that message, please wave your hands.
Whoa. Okay.
That's right. And so this representative of folks all around the state who are sharing this message too. So thank you for the time.
Thank you. And that's it. One more. This is the last one.
My name is Michael Broadheim. I'm an intern with the American Friends Service Committee in San Francisco. I'm also a recently released parolee. After 35 years in prison, I was paroled in July of 2015. I'm here to say simply that to emphasize the importance of reentry programs, to the extent that savings from Prop 47 go to investing in reentry programs, they are extremely important. I'm Ivy League educated, but there's a big wind blowing against me. I cannot find any employment or anything else without the assistance of reentry programs. So I strongly urge you, because most people coming out of prison have far less education than I, the importance of reentry cannot be emphasized strongly enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we can go to issue number 2. Thank you for hanging in there. Issue number 2, Strengthening Law Enforcement and Community Relations Grant Program. The Board of State and Community Corrections will give a brief summary of grant programs, parameters, and update the subcommittee on current status of the program. So the Board of State and Community Corrections, California Police Chiefs Association, Chauncey Smith, Legislative Advocate, Civil ACLU, Department of Finance, LAO, and then public comment.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. I'm Katie Howard. I'm the Executive Director of the Board and State Community Corrections. Really happy to be joined today by one of the co-chairs of the Strengthening Law Enforcement and Community Relations Grants, Chief David Bejarano, who's a member of the Board of State and Community Corrections and Police Chief out of Chula Vista. He'll be speaking later. Also, Chauncey Smith is here and is a member of that Executive Steering Committee. To respond to some of the questions that were in the analysis, I wanted to thank you for including, I thought, a really helpful summary of the strengthening grant. This committee, in my opinion, did an amazing job putting together a grant proposal on a really, really important topic. You had asked about how potential grantees would be engaging with the community. That work is in process right now as we speak because the RFP has been let to the field, and there are 5 different rating factors in the grant. One specific rating factor is community engagement, and it counts for 25% of the total score. So basically, when those grant proposals come in, and these gentlemen and others will be the ones reading and rating those proposals, there will be an analysis made of how well the grantee and the community partners came together. What did the lead applicant do to engage with the community? And so that's really directly built into the proposal. I think you have information on the timeline. Is there any information on that you'd like me to review here? I can just tell you in short order, the proposals are due on April the 1st. They'll be read and rated, and then at the June 9th board meeting, the recommendations for funding will be considered. And I would just add, it's also included in your analysis that the governor's proposal suggests another $6 million in ongoing funding. The way we wanted to handle that this year to be efficient and expeditious was to, if that money winds up in the budget this year for 16-17, we'd be able to fund a total of $12 million worth of grants if that amount is requested from the field and meets the criteria. If there are basically enough good proposals, we'll be able to fund all the way down the list to $12 million. Okay. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Let's get through all the witnesses. ACLU, Chauncey.
Thank you, Chairman Jones Sawyer, for having me here today. My name is Chauncey Smith. I'm a legislative advocate with the ACLU of California, and I'm here today in strong support of increasing the grant on strengthening law enforcement and community relations. Over the past few years, communities have voiced landmark concerns about police-community relations. There's been numerous deaths, allegations of racial profiling, and other types of misconduct by law enforcement. As a result of these incidents, the public polls have shown that there's a significant degree of distrust between law enforcement agencies and the communities that they serve. Last year, the legislature, through this grant program, sought to address this issue by providing for $6 million to improve the relationship between law enforcement agencies and communities. Notably, the BSCC and its Executive Steering Committee have sought to further that intent of the legislature by providing that approximately 30% or more of the funds issued through the grant have to be shared with a community partner, and actually requiring that law enforcement agencies that apply for a portion of the awards do so with a demonstrated relationship of a community partner. In terms of public policy, the ACLU believes that this program, as fleshed out by the BSCC, is going in the right direction. And one of the highlights of that is that it's based on the 6 pillars established by the President's Task Force on 21st Century Policing. Namely, those 6 items include building police community trust, policy and oversight, technology and social media, community policing and crime reduction, training and education, officer wellness and safety. Given the fact that this grant program allows community voices to also be a part of the equation and receive funds, and the fact that it's based on sound public policies at the federal level, the ACLU of California strongly recommends that the $6 million award be increased to $12 million.